This is the Czech Republic, also known as Czechia, a country with a population of around 10 million people. It is a landlocked nation surrounded by several European neighbors. Germany, one of the world's largest economies, lies to the west. Slovakia and Austria are to the south, while Poland borders the country to the north. Although the Czech Republic is relatively small, covering around 78,000 square kilometers, it is surprisingly easy to explore, especially its capital city. That capital is Prague. Prague lies in the northern part of the country and is the first stop for most visitors traveling through Czechia. Like many inland European cities, Prague stretches picturesquely along the Vltava River. The river is approximately 430 kilometers long and has a rather unusual characteristic: it flows from south to north, a relatively uncommon direction among Europe's major rivers. Over the centuries, the Czech people have built an impressive capital around this river. From above, the city reveals a breathtaking combination of historic landmarks and modern architecture. Most of Prague's famous attractions are located on the eastern side of the Vltava. The historic Old Town, the National Museum, and the famous Dancing House are all relatively close to one another. The western side of the city, on the other hand, is characterized mainly by modern office buildings and residential neighborhoods where many locals live. Prague is divided into districts such as Prague 1, Prague 2, and Prague 5. This makes the city relatively easy to navigate, and visitors can quickly find their way around. Traveling between the different districts is remarkably simple. The metro allows you to cross the city within minutes. Regardless of which line you take, you rarely encounter the extreme crowds found in many other major cities. Trains arrive approximately every 10 minutes, making public transportation fast and convenient. Unlike in many other European countries, Prague's metro stations do not have ticket barriers. Nevertheless, you must purchase a valid ticket before boarding. Ticket machines are located directly at the entrances to metro stations. For a European capital, public transportation in Prague is surprisingly affordable. Payments are made in Czech koruna. A metro ride costs around 20 koruna, which is slightly less than €1. For comparison, 100 Czech koruna is approximately €4. One of the most popular and affordable ways to travel around Prague is by tram. Like many European cities, Prague has an extensive tram network reaching almost every part of the city. It provides convenient transportation between both sides of the Vltava as well as for shorter journeys within individual neighborhoods. 1. Trams run at frequent intervals and are therefore among the city's most reliable forms of transportation. Naturally, such a large tram network requires overhead power lines running throughout the city. However, they have been designed to blend into the urban landscape as unobtrusively as possible. Trams share the road with cars and always have priority. Anyone driving in the Czech Republic should therefore never block tram tracks and should always give way to trams. While waiting at a tram stop, you may notice that many people are reading books. It is a small detail that seems to fit the country's high level of education. The official language is Czech, a language closely related to Slovak. Czech is often considered one of the more difficult languages to learn as a foreign language. According to education statistics, the Czech Republic ranks among the world's more highly educated Countries. Around 90% of the population has completed secondary education, while the literacy rate is approximately 99%. The remarkably well-preserved architecture of Prague is also evidence that the city largely escaped the widespread destruction experienced by many European cities during the two world wars. Walking through the streets, you encounter a fascinating mixture of architectural styles at almost every corner, combining centuries of history with the atmosphere of a modern European capital. The population is predominantly fair-skinned, with blonde or light brown hair and light-colored eyes also being relatively common. This reflects the region's diverse historical origins, including Celtic, Germanic, and Slavic influences. Following the collapse of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Czechs and Slovaks joined together to form Czechoslovakia. In 1992, Slovakia pursued independence, and the country was peacefully divided without armed conflict. Since January 1, 1993, the state has officially existed as the Czech Republic. The country later joined NATO and became a member of the European Union in 2004, strengthening its political and economic ties with Western Europe. The Czech flag is known for its distinctive combination of red, white, and blue. Originally, it consisted only of two horizontal stripes, white and red, similar to the Polish flag. A blue triangle was later added on the left side. Although the design was originally created for Czechoslovakia, the Czech Republic retained the flag as its national flag following the peaceful dissolution of the country. 2. If you're planning a trip to Czechia, there are several important things you should know. One of the biggest mistakes many visitors make is exchanging their euros for Czech koruna directly at the airport. Airport currency exchange offices often offer extremely unfavorable exchange rates, meaning travelers can quickly lose a significant amount of money. Unfortunately, this problem is not limited to airports. Many currency exchange offices in Prague advertise zero commission but compensate for this by offering unfavorable exchange rates. In principle, 100 euros should be worth approximately 2,500 Czech koruna. Some exchange offices, however, may give you only 2,000 or 2,200 koruna. Because of the poor exchange rate alone, you could lose around 12 to 15% of your money. A similar issue can occur with ATMs operated by companies such as Euronet. These machines may also apply unfavorable conversion rates as well as additional fees and commissions. In the worst cases, travelers may lose as much as 20% of their money. Because the Czech Republic has chosen to retain its own currency rather than adopt the euro, visitors should be particularly careful when exchanging money or withdrawing cash. Besides money, there is another thing you should prepare for: the weather. Like many parts of Europe, the weather in the Czech Republic can be surprisingly unpredictable even during summer. Although June, July, and August generally bring warm summer weather, rain can appear suddenly at almost any time. Because of these rapid changes in weather, you may see many locals wearing long sleeves or light jackets even in the middle of summer. This is one reason many Europeans prefer spending their summer vacations in countries such as Greece or Turkey, where sunshine and warm temperatures tend to be more reliable. There, travelers are more likely to find the stable summer weather that may be missing at home. The statutory minimum wage for someone working a regular 40-hour week is around 19,000 Czech koruna per month, or approximately €750. According to local studies, the average gross monthly salary in the Czech Republic is around 40,000 Czech koruna, equivalent to roughly €1,600. Income tax generally ranges between 15 and 23%. 3. As a result, even professionals with specialized qualifications may earn only around €2,000 to €3,000 per month after taxes. Although these figures may appear attractive when converted into other currencies, the cost of living in the Czech Republic means that such an income does not necessarily provide a luxurious lifestyle. For example, if you share an apartment in Prague with several roommates, you might pay only around 8,000 Czech koruna per month in rent, which is relatively affordable. However, a one- or two-bedroom apartment measuring at least around 40 square meters can easily cost approximately 25,000 Czech koruna per month, around €1,000. Although Prague remains cheaper than many other European capitals, rent can still consume a significant portion of a person's salary. This clearly demonstrates that Prague is far from being an inexpensive city and that living costs can represent a genuine financial challenge for many residents. Although people in the Czech Republic often appear cheerful and positive, many still face considerable financial pressure. Another thing that quickly stands out is the friendliness of many locals. Even if someone doesn't know you, brief eye contact may be enough for them to greet you, smile, or even offer to take a photo for you. Another interesting detail is that tattoos are extremely common among people under the age of 25. Walking through the streets, you may get the impression that almost every third young person has at least one tattoo. This probably reflects the strong sense of personal freedom found within Czech society. Overall, the Czech Republic is a country where personal choices are generally respected. People can usually gamble, smoke, consume cannabis, or express themselves through tattoos and other body modifications without attracting much attention. Unusual clothing styles are also nothing particularly remarkable. Most people simply accept them without much concern. Another notable characteristic of the Czech Republic is that it is considered one of the least religious countries in Europe and even in the world. Studies have shown that around 91% of people between the ages of 16 and 29 identify as having no religious affiliation or as atheists. Across the overall population, around 40% say they do not believe in God. Another significant proportion prefer not to disclose or discuss their religious beliefs. 4. Among religious people, Christianity, particularly Roman Catholicism, is the dominant faith. Many believe that the country's high level of secularism and the relatively limited role of religion can partly be traced back to the communist era. Following the Soviet-backed communist takeover of Czechoslovakia, the authorities, like those in several other communist states, imposed numerous restrictions on religion, religious beliefs, and religious practices. During this period, Czech society became increasingly detached from organized religion. Over time, this development became deeply embedded in society. Many people eventually lived lives that were barely influenced by religion. This attitude was passed down through generations, contributing to the relatively limited role religious authorities play in everyday Czech life today. Interestingly, the Czech Republic, together with Hungary, has also developed into one of Europe's major producers of adult entertainment. Despite the country's relatively small population of around 10.5 million people, the Czech Republic has played a disproportionately significant role in Europe's adult entertainment industry. Even today, the Czech Republic and Hungary remain important production locations for adult content in Europe. Walking through the streets of Prague, you could unknowingly pass someone who is well known within that industry. If you live there long enough, you may even discover that someone within your wider social circle works as a performer, producer, or camera operator in the industry. It is remarkable that the Czech Republic has become so prominent in this sector despite its comparatively small population. Some Czech performers have built successful careers not only in Europe but also in major international markets such as the United States. When speaking with locals about the subject, you may hear that some Czech women enter the industry voluntarily because they view it as an opportunity to earn comparatively large amounts of money relatively quickly. Nevertheless, the subject is rarely discussed publicly, which means many tourists are unaware of the Czech Republic's significance within the international adult entertainment industry. Beyond this lesser-known side of the country, there are naturally many other distinctive aspects of Czech culture. For example, Czechs are not primarily known for being obsessed with either football or basketball. 5. In many countries, basketball becomes the dominant sport when football is not number one. Serbia and Lithuania are good examples. A similar situation can be seen in the United States, where basketball is enormously popular while association football has historically played a smaller role. The Czech Republic, however, is different. The country's true sporting passion is ice hockey. The Czech men's national team is among the strongest in the world, and numerous successful players, including Jaromír Jágr, have competed at the highest international level. The Czech Ice Hockey League runs from September to April and features 14 professional teams followed by fans across the country. But the Czech Republic is known for much more than ice hockey. The country has also made important contributions to science. Because many people around the world experience vision problems, the development of modern soft contact lenses by Czech chemist Otto Wichterl provided millions of people with an alternative to conventional glasses. Gregor Johann Mendel, one of the founders of modern genetics, also conducted his groundbreaking work in this region. His research into the laws of inheritance laid the foundations for modern genetics. You may also recognize the name Franz Kafka. He was born in Prague, in Bohemia, which is now part of the Czech Republic. Literature enthusiasts know him primarily for his influential works exploring themes such as alienation, bureaucracy, social pressures, isolation, and identity. Another fascinating fact is connected to the word robot. The term originated in Czech literature. Czech writer Karel Čapek introduced the word in his play RUR, using it to describe artificial workers performing tasks for humans. The word later spread around the world and became part of international vocabulary. If you visit the Czech Republic, particularly Prague, there is one unusual attraction you may not want to miss. Prague is home to an extraordinarily narrow pedestrian passage. 6. The passage is so narrow that traffic lights have been installed at both ends to regulate pedestrian movement. You can find it in Malá Strana, one of Prague's oldest and most beautiful districts. The passage is approximately 10 meters long and less than 1 meter wide. At its narrowest point, it measures only around 50 centimeters. When walking through it, you need to pay attention to the traffic light because people cannot comfortably pass one another inside. The passage primarily serves as a narrow staircase leading toward a restaurant. This unusual little passage adds another layer of charm to Prague and has become a popular curiosity among visitors. Another major highlight is Prague's historic Jewish quarter. Located in the heart of the city, this historic district is filled with fascinating stories and legends. One widely repeated legend claims that Adolf Hitler intended to establish a museum of an extinct race after the Second World War. According to the story, this was supposedly why Prague's Jewish quarter and many Jewish artifacts were preserved. Today, much of the area's historic character remains intact. Walking through its streets can feel almost like traveling back in time. Another important part of Czech culture involves its traditions and cuisine. One of the great Czech pastimes is mushroom picking. It may sound surprising, but many families regularly travel into forests and the countryside together to collect mushrooms. Czechs collect significant quantities of wild mushrooms every year from forests and other natural areas. If you see people exploring national parks, forests, or green spaces, there is a good chance some of them are looking for mushrooms. Historically, mushrooms were sometimes described as the meat of the poor. People who could not afford meat could instead go into forests or mountains and collect mushrooms. Even today, mushrooms remain an important component of Czech cuisine and appear in soups, stews, sauces, and many other traditional dishes. 7. The Czech Republic is also considered one of the safer countries in Europe. When it comes to safety and cleanliness, Prague performs particularly well compared with many major European tourist destinations. Police are visible throughout the city, although serious interventions are relatively uncommon in central tourist areas. Prague is also known for its impressive architecture, well-maintained streets, modern infrastructure, and generally clean public spaces. No matter how many smaller side streets you explore, encountering large piles of garbage is relatively uncommon. As one of Europe's most popular tourist destinations, Prague puts considerable effort into maintaining streets, parks, and areas surrounding its many museums and attractions. Municipal workers regularly clean the streets, while many shop owners begin their day by sweeping and cleaning the areas outside their businesses. One of the greatest symbols of Czech industry is Škoda, the country's best-known automobile manufacturer. For many people, the brand represents Czech industrial identity and national pride. Although Škoda is now part of Germany's Volkswagen Group, the brand has successfully maintained its Czech identity. As a result, Škoda vehicles are among the cars you will see most frequently on the streets of Prague. One model in particular appears regularly, the Škoda Kodiaq. Regardless of brand, many residents drive relatively modern vehicles, including models from Škoda and German manufacturers. One of Prague's best-known modern buildings is the Dancing House. Just as the Eiffel Tower is instantly associated with France, the Dancing House has become one of the most recognizable symbols of modern Prague. The building was constructed between 1994 and 1996 and consists of two main sections. One is a glass tower supported by angled columns, while the other features a curved, wave-like facade. Located directly beside the river, its unusual architecture creates the impression that the building is actually dancing. Inside, visitors can find cafes and restaurants. 8. Other attractions you should not miss in Prague include Old Town Square, Prague Castle, Charles Bridge, and the famous astronomical clock at the Old Town Hall. Every hour, the astronomical clock performs its famous mechanical display for visitors gathered in the square below. According to one legend, the clockmaker became famous far beyond Bohemia because of his extraordinary masterpiece. When other rulers supposedly asked him to build similar clocks for their cities, the Bohemian authorities allegedly had him blinded so that he could never reproduce his masterpiece elsewhere. The legend continues that the devastated clockmaker later damaged the mechanism, leaving nobody capable of repairing it for many years. Stories and legends like this have become part of the cultural mythology surrounding Prague's astronomical clock. Even visitors who eventually get tired of sightseeing can still enjoy Old Town Square. The central square offers plenty of entertainment, and the constant flow of residents, performers, and tourists creates a lively atmosphere. Sometimes simply watching everything happening around you is entertainment enough. Another major Prague landmark is Charles Bridge, which is lined with numerous statues. It connects the old town with the area leading toward Prague Castle and historically served as Prague's primary crossing over the Vltava. Over time, the original statues suffered damage from weather and environmental exposure. For preservation purposes, many originals were therefore moved to protected collections and replaced with detailed replicas. Similar preservation measures have been used for decorative elements associated with Prague's astronomical clock. Many original components have been replaced or carefully restored over the years because exposure to the elements damaged the historic figures. So when visiting Prague, it is worth remembering that not every historic sculpture or decorative element you see outdoors is necessarily the original. Many have been carefully reconstructed or replaced with replicas to preserve the city's cultural heritage for future generations. In addition to European visitors, Prague attracts large numbers of tourists from Asia and the Middle East every year. 9. In the most popular tourist districts, you will frequently encounter travel groups from Arab countries, South Korea, Japan, and many other parts of the world. Many people who move to Prague for work also come from countries such as the Philippines, India, and Bangladesh. They contribute to the increasingly diverse and international character of the city's workforce. Another attraction worth visiting is the Lenin Wall. It is Prague's most famous wall and is closely associated with John Lennon, the legendary member of the Beatles who was murdered in 1980. Since then, the wall has become covered with colorful graffiti, poems, political messages, and personal expressions inspired by ideas of peace and freedom. Today, visitors from around the world come here to take photographs in front of this famous landmark. The Czech Republic also regularly ranks among the European countries with the highest beer consumption per capita. People sometimes joke that if something in Czechia is cheaper than water, it is probably beer. Almost every cafe and restaurant offers a broad selection of Czech beers. Prices vary depending on the type of beer, alcohol content, establishment, and size of the glass. All things considered, the Czech Republic, and Prague in particular, is one of Europe's most fascinating destinations if you want to experience a medieval atmosphere without giving up the comforts of the 21st century. The country offers a generally safe and relaxed environment, impressive architecture, extensive infrastructure, and countless opportunities to explore its history and culture. Whatever your reason for visiting, there is a good chance you will find something that suits both your interests and your budget. And with that, we've reached the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. 10.